Attention please. This uploading is only for educational purpose. No intention to infringe copyrights. Learning English with subtitles. GPITRAL. Follow us.
Back in Auckland at the SPCA headquarters, an unusual Angora rabbit has been handed in that shows obvious signs of irresponsible care.
The problem with this is he is so matted. About half of this is the rabbit and the other half is terrible, terrible mats. And it's really bad, not only that he's lost from his house, but people get these Angora rabbits and fluffy cats and fluffy dogs and they sort of think they're like self-cleaning. But they're not. You really have to take care of them, brush them, and groom them. Pretty much all of this around his face is all one giant mat, and this rabbit can't even walk because this entire back from my thumbs, this is a giant mat. I mean, we can't even tell what sex this rabbit is. He's so matted. Not only is it uncomfortable to have knots in your hair, they actually can get so bad that they twist down to the skin and actually cause the skin to die and get big sores.
Cutting the matted fur off the rabbit will need to be done with great care.
Rabbit skin is just like chicken skin. It's really, really thin. And if you shave it too closely or try to cut it, the skin tears very, very easily.
Once the experienced staff at the SPCA have trimmed the rabbit, he'll be held for 7 days of what is called stray time. If after that time the owners haven't come forward to claim him, there's a chance he will go to a new home.
The finders said they might want to adopt him, so we're going to clean him up, but we'll de-sex him and then we could adopt him out.
The dog that had to have its eye removed has been named Wazowski, after the Monsters Inc. character. She's successfully come through surgery, and after a few days in recovery, she could soon be sitting in the adoption area. Perfect timing, as her story is starting to get media attention.
The media story and photo appeared in the local courier yesterday. And since then we've had quite a few phone inquiries just asking how Wazowski is. It's also generated a lot more donations, and I think at last count the donation fund for her surgery and recovery and everything was just over $1,000, which is absolutely fantastic. So now we're just waiting that hopefully her photo and everything will appeal to someone and they might want to come out and adopt her. She should be in the adoption area early next week. We hope that as a result of the publicity someone might fall in love with her and come and get her.
With her eye healing nicely, it's time for Wazowski to be put into the adoption kennels and hopefully become a much-loved member of a family who will give her the quality of life she so desires and deserves. Back at Turtle Haven, a rehabilitation home for turtles, Clarice Ford has spent 5 weeks looking after the 4-year-old turtle that was found on a little girl's doorstep. Clarice has called her Poppet.
Poppet has started putting on some weight. The infection she had at the bottom of the shell's all cleaned up with iodine. She's much stronger. She's walking around on the ground. She's very social. Most turtles are very social. And she's been swimming and playing with the other turtles in the afternoon. She's come out of a shell, literally. She used to just stay there, but now she gets out, she walks around the garden, she sunbathes. So she's quite confident now. So she's ready to go to a new home.
But what sort of home should a turtle go to?
I just don't rehome them anywhere because, I mean, they've come from a rough time, so I prefer them to go to an outdoor pond and fenced-in garden and somewhere where the owners are going to pick them up and make a fuss.
And lucky for Poppet, the perfect people turn up on Clarice's doorstep, wanting to adopt 2 turtles as friends for the one they already have at their home in the Bay of Islands.
I'll give you all the information you need.
Oh, thanks for that.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
And I'll ring you and make sure they're settled in okay for a while. Okay. I like to follow them up and see how they're going.
If you get up that way, come and see us.
Yes, that would be
She's in a
nice.
huge big enclosure about the size of your house and your garden together.
It sounds like a paradise for turtles.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye. I get quite attached to them, particularly if they've been sick and they've been staying inside with me. But I've been really fortunate to find some really neat homes. People like this who are just going to make lovely pet owners and care for them, just like they should have been to start with.
She waves off the new owners in their camper van.
Bye.
In the Pocono area, SPCA Inspector David Lloyd Barker is on his way to a property that advertises horse tricks.
We're going to a property in the Mangatawhiri. We've had a complaint of up to 20 horses which may possibly be suffering from mud fever and or be lame. So we're going to go down and have a look and see what the owners have to say for themselves.
The Appaloosa horses are kept on a farm, and as they are likely to be housed in paddocks well away from the road, Dave will need help from the owner to find them.
Hello, I'm David from the SPCA. We've had a complaint from one of your guests about your horses, that some of them may be lame and that some of them may be suffering from mud fever.
Oh.
Can I see the horses? Are they around or are they all out at the moment?
No, they're up the back.
Right.
The owner is surprised by Dave's visit, but wastes no time getting on her quad bike to go and round up the horses. And it's not long before Dave spots them galloping down from the hills.
A group of horses trot into a corral.
Appaloosa horses are recognisable for their interesting spots and pale colours.
Is this all of them?
That's all of them, yeah. I've got 3 oldies up there.
Yeah.
Dave is able to get up close to the horses and check them out for signs of poor treatment or a skin infection called mud fever.
Perhaps one of them had been through the mud and had mud on their legs at the time, but they've got to go down to the water. I've never had anyone complain about it, and I can't see any mud fever there.
Yeah. No, they all look fine. So what have you got up in the field? You've got 3 older horses, yeah?
3 oldies, and they're in their 20s.
Right.
At the moment, of course, they're part way through losing their coats, but they look the best when they've got all their summer coat. I have them up on the hills so that they're sure-footed, and calving at the moment, of course, I need the flat paddocks for the cows calving.
That's fine. Thanks for bringing them down.
That's all right. We know how to treat it.
All right, Barbara. Let me leave you my card, and if there's any issues, just give me a call.
Yes,
okay? All right?
Oh,
Take care.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
So the complaint has turned out to have no foundation.
The horses looked in very good condition to me. It's probably a case of somebody having either no experience with horses and thinking they were thin, or alternatively somebody who's just had a bad experience, or perhaps they just had a sore backside. A fairly spurious complaint, but quite happy that the horses are in fine condition.
He drives away from the stud.
Back at base, the Angora rabbit, which was handed into the SPCA in a terrible state, is looking like a new rabbit.
It looks beautiful, and the hair's grown back so quickly, and all of this back here was just unbelievably bright red and raw, and this area was torn over here. But it's all nice and light and pink, and the fur's all growing back, and she seems to be a lot happier. She's a really sweet bunny.
And just as Jody had hoped, the little rabbit has a potential new owner. Andrew Cook, who found the rabbit and handed her in to the SPCA, has come forward and offered to adopt her.
Oh, Jody, you got it back.
Yep, she's come back to you, mate.
But before he can take the rabbit home, Jody needs to educate him on how to care for his new pet.
This is an Angora, this breed, and you can see this beautiful, fine, lovely fur that she has there. The only problem with the fur is that it can sometimes get into knots and get matted. So you just have to be really, really cognizant of the whole brushing thing. Because remember how she was before, she could get like that.
Like she had dreadlocks.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was so bad that her legs were actually like welded to her body. That's how bad it got.
So she couldn't really jump either.
She couldn't really move a lot.
She's obviously feeling a lot better.
She is.
The rehabilitated rabbit has a new home and a brighter future.
Home time.
At the SPCA clinic in Wellington, the lab results for Mace, the severely underweight dog, are back.
Basically, there's very little change on the blood work. Most of it is just an elevation of protein in the blood. Unfortunately, there's a possibility of cancer with that result, but it could also be inflammation. Hard to predict without further testing.
So Mace is brought back in by his owner Vanessa for another checkup. After his last visit, he was put on a special diet to get his weight up, but the result is not looking good.
24.1 to 24.2, yep. He hasn't gained much.
No.
He hasn't gained much at all. Don't like the look of that. There's something new happening with him. If I pick up this foot and put it down like that, he can't flip it back over. What that means is he's not feeling that foot correctly. There's something major going on with his nerves in the back end there. Where we go from here, is up to you. We can try to treat him still, give him pain medication, and see if he doesn't come right. But that's not a good sign that he's not having too much feeling in his back end. That's more indicative of cancer. This is not all just weakness because he's not eating enough.
What's the other option?
Do you think he's still enjoying himself? Do you think he's still? Okay.
Vanessa faces up to the inevitable decision to put Mace down.
Put him down. Now?
We can. If you need time then. Okay. Okay. What we'll do is I'll give him a shot of pain medication. We'll bring him home. But he can't stay like this. So we don't want him to suffer.
I wasn't coming here to hear that. We were coming here to make him better. It's a little bit of a shock. He's really loving, he's really good with the kids. He's been a really good dog. Really good to have around.
Vanessa decides to take Mace home for 2 days so the family can say goodbye to their loved pet.
Let me give him this injection. This is just pain medication. Good boy. I wish there was more I could do for him, I really do. It's still difficult no matter how many times I watch a dog kind of deteriorate or watch a dog die or, you know, have to euthanize something because it's suffering. It never gets easier.
But there's happier news for Wazowski, the dog that was shot through the eye with an air rifle.
Wazowski has now recovered. She's had her eye stitches removed and her eye has nicely healed up now, as you can see. We've found her a home which is absolutely fantastic. She's going to 2 people that have moved over from the UK and they're a lovely couple, so lucky for her she has found a fantastic home.
3 days later, Wazowski has been renamed Lottie, meaning Little Beauty, and is roaming free and happy at her new home.
We were ready to adopt a dog and we saw Wazowski, as she was called, and read the story behind her and just fell in love with her. She's just perfect.
Yeah, we decided almost straight away, didn't we?
Yeah,
That she was a beautiful little girl and deserved a good home, so...
That's right.
They stroke her as she lies on their lawn.
Next week on Animal House, it's a tight squeeze as Kevin goes on the hunt for some abandoned puppies.
They wouldn't have been socialised at all, so they're not going to be too keen on me finding them.
A ragdoll cat has put through its paces for the outreach program.
It would be quite neat to brighten some elderly people's lives, and they might appreciate him.
And Vicky's patience is tested by a careless dog owner.
I must see that dog and it must have those ears treated.
The end.